I used to be creative, but I just don't feel inspired anymore. I feel so burnt out. Does this sound like you? Hi Creative Cozy Club. My name is Christina and I love cooking, I love dinner parties, and I love a good hobby. Maybe 2024 really did a number on you, but we're gonna have a refresh. We're gonna be doing new hobbies. And these hobbies are gonna help jumpstart your creativity again. I had a friend reach out to me the other day and she was telling me how she realized that she doesn't have any adult hobbies anymore. And that was a little bit concerning for me. Hobbies are beautiful because they help create a community and they help you build confidence in other aspects of your life. When we're children, we learn a lot of new skills and then very quickly we start to improve on them. That feeling of improvement is absolutely wonderful. It's so nice to just build on something. And when we're adults, I find that we don't have that feeling anymore. We might hit a plateau in our life, in our career, and maybe we no longer find joy in the things that we used to love. And I firmly believe in developing hobbies. There's so much joy in discovering what you can do, and so much joy in discovering that you can create something with your own hands. The process of improvement, building community, and finding other people that share the same hobby as you. Anyway, without further ado, here are some hobbies that I think that you can start in 2025, or in the future if you're watching this from the future, hello. And these are hobbies that I believe to be really great for you. They're calm, nurturing, fulfilling, and capable. And they're gonna help you jumpstart your creativity again. Painting or drawing. This is one that I hold near and dear to my heart. I've always loved drawing. I always loved it ever since I was a kid. Something about drawing on a piece of paper or even an iPad just feels so therapeutic for me. It's really nice, especially if you draw in nature, like looking at trees and flowers. And you can do any type of drawing. You can do figure drawing, you can do something traditional, you can sketch, you can do watercolor. I really encourage you to buy a sketchbook and spend maybe 15 minutes of your day doodling or drawing. Embroidery. I love embroidery. There's something so nice about turning your brain off and embroidering and working with your hands. You can get these embroidery kits on Amazon or online. And they're really great because if you're new to embroidery, they'll come with all sorts of like needles and step-by-step instructions on how to embroider. It's really fun to do, especially while watching your favorite show or your favorite movie. It's one of those hobbies where you can do two things at once. And you can embroider on anything, on socks, on sweatshirts. And it's so much fun because you can really get something out of it. And if you're exceptionally fast, you can even make gifts for your friends. Cooking. We all have to cook to survive, but doing cooking as a hobby is amazing because it's something that you do every day, which means you get to practice every day and you get to reap the precious rewards of it immediately. It's delicious. Pick up a good cookbook, pick up new recipes, and just try new cooking techniques. I've always loved cooking, but it wasn't until maybe my early 20s when I really started to develop my cooking skills and refine my techniques. It's such a lovely way to develop a skill that you'll have for life. You can host dinner parties, you can cook things for your friends. It's just such a valuable skill. There's so much love in cooking and in baking. Baking goes the same way too. There's something about kneading dough, using your hands, and creating baked goods that gives you so much warmth. A lot of my friends who bake, they tell me sometimes like, oh my gosh, I got so many cookies, what am I gonna do with them? And the great thing about baking and cooking is that you can always share with your friends. It gives you an excuse to bring people together. And you know, if that really troubles you having so many cookies left over, just make them in a smaller batch. Hosting. Now this is a hobby I personally love, which is hosting, which kind of is like counterintuitive because at times it feels like you're just hanging out, but learning to host is so valuable because there's so many soft skills involved, like making sure the atmosphere feels good. And it's a great excuse to bring all of your friends together. I find it extremely fulfilling. Photography. We all love taking photos with our phones. I know you love it. I love it too. We all do. But taking up photography as a hobby opens up so many new experiences. You can learn about lighting, and you know, if you get really into it, you can try using a real camera versus your phone. It's such a fun and great hobby to have. Personally, I love taking photos of nature. I find it very calm and beautiful. And at times, I know that we take a lot of photos for social media, but when you take that aspect of it away and focus on the joy of it, it's just so fulfilling. I recently picked up a filmic camera recently, and it really reinvigorated my love of photography. The photos look incredible and the community is wonderful. Video. One of my first love in all of my creative fields was video. I know everyone nowadays is like short form video, long form video, and this and that. But honestly, if you take it away again, it is just so much fun to learn video, like different video techniques, to have the freedom to tell a story through narrative. And what I mean by video is just making like short, silly videos with your friends, doing daily montages, working on your lighting, make your work look like it's inspired by your favorite director. It's just so much fun. These days, everyone has a phone, so you really don't need to get a lot of equipment to get started. You don't even need a video camera. There's so many tools available for little short films. Floral arranging. I have really been getting into floral arranging recently. There's a flower market near where I live that's open to the public. I'm so excited to go. Sometimes local stores like TJ's don't have specific flowers that I want for arrangements, but floral arranging is just so much fun. I've seen people create stunningly beautiful arrangements. It's a great way to get creative. If you get really good at it, you can offer your arrangements to your friends and your family. And learning how to make a nice bouquet is such a lovely skill. Someone sent me a bouquet recently and I was just like, oh, this is the best. Jewelry making. There's nothing cooler than someone complimenting your jewelry and then you saying, thanks, I made it. A lot of people have gotten into jewelry making recently, and I know that it can be a little harder to get into if you're casting or if you're working with metals, since that kind of requires a studio, but you can start with small customizations or clay jewelry. There's so many types of jewelry design to explore. It's very creative, it's very hands-on. Making mocktails or cocktails. Whenever I go to someone's house and they offer me a fun drink, I am instantly impressed. It's such a fun hobby and it doesn't have to involve alcohol. You can explore flavor combinations, create themed drinks, which is so enjoyable. It's like kind of like being a barista. You can even do a home cafe. There's endless possibilities. Interior design. Now, I know that not everyone is redoing their entire house 24/7, but I find interior design to be such a fun and fulfilling hobby. It doesn't mean you need to completely like 360 your house. It can involve small incremental improvements like painting a wall, discovering new finishes for cabinets, or swapping out hardware. But just constantly improving your home little by little, it's so fulfilling. You also don't have to implement everything you learn. Sometimes it's just really fun to discover the history of interior design or the design behind everyday items. Watching movies. Now, I know a lot of people think that consuming media is not a hobby, but I would like to disagree because I believe that watching movies is amazing. It not only teaches you storytelling, but it also teaches you life lessons. And if it's a great movie, it will inspire you in so many different ways. I love making a list of movies that I want to watch, and I also don't like only watching current releases. I find that watching the classics sometimes really lets you know why they're considered the best of their time. If your favorite director has a movie list, there's a saying that you should watch their favorite movies because you can see what inspired them and how they came to make all of their choices in their films. Yeah, I would really encourage you to watch movies that inspire you, watch movies where you're like, wow, that's amazing. I recently watched Lawrence of Arabia and it was on my list for a really long time. I'm really glad that I watched it. Not only was it filmed in like way back when, but there was no CG back then. Like everything had to be done practically, so I was floored. Watching movies is definitely a way for you to get inspiration. You can go through a list. I think there's a list of like top movies to watch before you die or something. Pottery or ceramics. I've seen so many of my friends start pottery classes or ceramics classes. I think it's a really great way to get you working with your hands. I think that's probably why we're so drawn to baking and slime as children, because there's something so inherently human about wanting to mold things with our hands. Just sitting in front of a screen all day doesn't give you that tactile feedback. And I would say that ceramics, pottery, or even making things with air dry clay is such a great way for you to like work with your hands. It really develops a sense of 3D space and spatial awareness. Travel journaling. If you travel a lot or if you have a lot of suggestions, like if you're the person where your friends want to go somewhere and they ask you where, you should make a travel guide. I made a guide for all my friends traveling to Japan a long time ago, and I would list exactly where to go, what to do, and eventually I'm gonna update it at some point. So follow me and I'll ping you if I ever decide to update it. But it's so much fun. I loved taking photos and telling people this is exactly what you're gonna get at this exact place. It's just so fulfilling. And then also I loved doing the design of it. When my friends report back, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I just feel so much joy. So I love making little travel guides for my friends. I've been doing it for forever. You can decorate them super cute. You can design them and really make it feel like a guide. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you can print them and bind them, which is so fun. Which leads me to the next hobby, which is bookbinding. Another thing that I really want to get into is bookbinding. I talked to my friend Juliet about this, and I really want to bind my favorite books. For example, I love Pride and Prejudice. I've always been a Pride and Prejudice girly, a Jane Austen girly, and I want a version for myself that I make, like a version that looks like vintage but new. And I don't know, I just want it to be special. And I don't know if I'm gonna pursue this, but if you do, let me know because I'm gonna contact you because bookbinding looks so much fun. Organizing. Now, I know this hobby may not be for everyone, but I have a very specific friend I'm thinking of, and she is so good at organizing, not only digitally, but also physically. Her brain just works differently. And when I see her organize, I'm like, oh my gosh, something about this. Like, it tickles my brain. So I can definitely see this as being a fulfilling hobby for a certain specific type of person. And getting creative about organization, figuring out ways of decluttering is, oh my gosh, amazing skill to have. There's so much creativity with how you can go about it. And if you get really good at it, maybe you can even like help your friends and like be a consultant for them and like trade or something. It's just a really cool skill. Candle making. This is for all of my perfume girlies and scent girlies. If you ever wanted to make your own custom scent or fragrance or a candle, these make amazing gifts. You also feel so fulfilled being able to say, hey, I made this when you give them to someone. I have a few friends who started candle making, and it's so fun to get it right and to make a scent that's 100% personalized. They make great gifts, and it's also really fun to make the labels and customize everything. You can also make candle melts if you don't like burning candles and give those as gifts as well. So these are my hobbies that I would recommend that you try out for the new year, or if you just want to get inspired, if you want to try something new. And I hope that you find your creativity, if you find your inspiration. And if you like this, like let me know. Maybe I'll make a part 2 of it. But I love you all. Hope that you all are keeping creative, and I'll see you next time. Bye.